So for the past month of my life, I've been doing what I think is one of the most unique internships that's ever been devised. So let me just quick give some backstory. Back in the fall of 2018, I was trying to figure out what my internships for the summer of 2019 would be. And one organization that stuck out was called One Collective. And One Collective does a lot of what they call integrated community transformation. The three areas that they focus on are food, freedom, and forgiveness. And that forgiveness one is the gospel element. But in every community, they have what's called a catalyst, and that catalyst is someone that seeks to bring together all of these organizations that are already in that community, but seeks to kind of unify them into one and realize that they have the same purpose of seeing long-term change. So the local expression here in Pittsburgh of One Collective's desire to bring food, freedom, and forgiveness is called Love Carrick. So I'm in the neighborhood of Carrick right now. Love Carrick is actually a local church here, but they do far more than just Sunday services. And their leader, John Trotter, he's that catalyst that I talked about. He's on the neighborhood council. He has all of their ears. He has the ears of everybody that's bringing a new organization into the neighborhood, just looking to kind of unify all those together and seek long-term change. So I've been blown away by the impact that they've had, not just on this neighborhood, but also on me as I've been here. I've learned so much from them about ministry. So when I originally got connected with One Collective, they were saying, hey, we'd like to send out an email to all of our communities around the world. We're gonna see where we'd like to put you, Peter. We got responses from places as remote as Spain and Mexico and Greece, just places that are way out there. And of course, Pittsburgh was on the radar too at that point. But originally we were looking at going to some of those places that I might consider to be more exotic. And then one by one, they began to slowly not work out. Oh, Greece isn't gonna work out. Oh, suddenly Mexico's not gonna work out. And now I'm going to Pittsburgh for a month. That's gonna be my internship. And I was kind of in the place of like, well, Lord, I kind of thought you were gonna do something international with me this summer. But that's when I just had to give my yes to the Lord and say, okay, you're gonna have me in Pittsburgh. I got connected with One Collective's video person. He hooked me up with all of this awesome equipment that I got to use while I was here. And that was things like a Ronin S, an H4n, a tripod, a monopod. So all of this stuff was shipped to me back in Maryland, and I threw it all in my car and drove up to Pittsburgh. And that's how I started my internship. Pretty much everything about this internship is what you might call unconventional. It's only a month long, it's mid-June right now, and I am basically at the tail end of this thing. So it's very self-guided. It's very much up to me to make sure I'm getting things done. And the topics that this internship is about covers everything from filming to editing, website development, even ministry. Honestly, of all the places that I was potentially looking at going for this summer, Pittsburgh was a little bit lower on the list, but that's where the Lord had me, and that's where He's been using me for these past 4 weeks. There's so many things that I could talk about. It's been an incredible season of growing for me, and I just thought I'd kind of have to make a video and just kind of talk about the things that I've been learning along the way. So one of the very first things that I learned was how to plan ahead for video projects. I actually had to have multiple meetings with not only my supervisor, but also with the ministry people here so that we could talk about what context they were going to be used in, and also what the audience of these videos was going to be, so that you know how to tailor what's being said in the video to your audience. And so something else that falls into this category of planning ahead for your videos is the idea of packing light. So this kind of came with time, but you have to learn exactly what you're going to need for each shoot, and so you don't have to overpack. I was hooked up with a lot of awesome gear that I have here, and that came in like 3 or 4 kinds of boxes, and things that I could put in my back and things that I carry in my hands. And it just kind of became a lot if I wanted to lug all of that stuff to one location to shoot a video. And especially if you're one person like I've been this whole time, that gets pretty tedious after a while. So number 2, learn as much as possible about the gear that you have at your disposal. For me, I didn't know a whole lot about the gear that I was being given, so I just needed to ask constant questions. Either questions or YouTube tutorials have come in super handy this entire time. I have experienced excruciating failures due to gear failure and just things that I didn't know. The microphone that you're using, like the one that I'm using now, there was an experience I had where some dreadlocks kind of got in the way and were rubbing up against the mic the entire interview, and that caused some grief. Another issue I had was with the Ronin S, which was an incredible tool, a huge blessing for me to have that while I was here. But it failed. I had major issues with it the entire time, and it just kind of became rough after a while. So I found some workarounds to some of the issues I was having, but ultimately, it's it's kind of a struggle. Know your gear, know exactly what your gear is capable of. The more acquainted you can become with your gear over time, the better you're going to be able to perform as a videographer. The third thing is to trust the Lord with your plans. I had my own plans for what this summer was going to look like. I didn't see myself in Pittsburgh necessarily. I more so saw myself in the Greece, Spain kind of area, somewhere in Europe. But that's not what the Lord had for me. So something really interesting about Carrick is that it actually has a very high population of Nepali immigrants. And so these Nepalis that live here are actually refugees that have fled from their own country due to political unrest and being oppressed in different ways over there. There's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of pain. And so that's something that the workers that love Carrick have done their absolute best to form friendships with these Nepalis and just bring them in, make them feel like they're welcome, that they are part of this community. They may be from Nepal, but they are welcome here. And so even though it was my plan to be going to another nation for the summer, what the Lord ended up actually doing through that was he brought another nation to me. And that was such an incredibly fascinating thing that I saw the Lord do. The Lord is so creative with things like that. Man has his own plans, but the Lord has his. And so I would just encourage you, if you're watching this, to say, the Lord has incredible plans for you. It may not be exactly what you're wanting. It may not be exactly what you're expecting. But once you're on the other side of that, everything will make sense. The Lord has a plan. The Lord is going to use you wherever he has you. So don't say no to the Lord just because you have your own idea in your head of what he wants for you. So those are just 3 of the many things that I've learned here while I've been kind of on my own for these 4 weeks. It's been an incredible season of growing for me. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please subscribe for more content like this if you'd like to see more of it in the future. I plan on posting more and more as the years go on. And so I'd love to have you along for the journey, and I'll see you in the next video.